So today I'm going to be talking about my favourite podcast. I only rediscovered podcasts like last year when I was spending a lot of time on my own, and I feel like podcasts are a really good way to like distract yourself, especially if you're just bored listening to music all the time. I think they're really good for like long journeys. Not that we can go on long journeys at the moment anyway, but maybe if you're watching this in the future after the pandemic, you might be looking for like new podcast recommendations. So yeah, I'm gonna go through my favourite podcasts. You might have heard of some of them before or not, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you want to, and let's get started. First one is The Girls' Bathroom. Now, The Girls' Bathroom is hosted by Sophia and Cinzia. They are YouTubers. They basically do they do them on like all sorts of things. So they've got like 3 series of them now, and they're mainly about kind of like relationships, like friendships and like romantic relationships. But basically people write in and they might have a sort of issue with a guy or whatever. So the girls kind of discuss it. They try and make it like as less biased as possible, but yeah, it's just really interesting. I feel like any boy situation you've ever been in, they'll probably have covered it in one of their podcast episodes. Actually, in the first series, I will admit, one of the questions they answered, like, I wrote in, so I was like, oh my god, proud. But yeah, I'm not going to say what question it was, but yeah, like, they have answered all of my questions, which was really nice. But yeah, as I said, it's so light-hearted, really funny, like, again, just takes your mind off things, and I would really recommend. The next one is Happy Place by Fern Cotton. You probably all know who Fern Cotton is, but if you don't know, she's mainly a radio presenter. Like, she's doing a lot of like chart stuff. She was on Celebrity Juice as well. But yeah, she kind of, hers is more like an interview, so she'll have like guests come on, and she kind of talks to them about how they've overcome things in their life, like maybe how they've overcome like mental health or like anything sort of like that. She's had so many different guests on there. Like, the first one I listened to was the Zoe Sugg one. But yeah, as I said, she's had so many different people on there. Like, I'm trying to think now. She has had like Stephen Fry, she's had like athletes like Jessica Ennis, and yeah, even like people who I'm not really interested in, I still listen to the podcast because they just like, I just find them so fascinating, and like Fern Cotton's voice is just so calming as well. So yeah, I would recommend Happy Place. Next one is Private Parts by Jamie Lang and Frances Boulet. But yeah, they are 2 people from Made in Chelsea. It's mainly Jamie that does them now, but yeah, again, his is similar setup to Fern Cotton's. It's kind of, he usually interviews someone else. So yeah, he mainly has a lot of like sort of celebrities in that kind of bracket, I guess, kind of people from like reality TV shows, or like maybe Sophia and Cinzia have been on there as well. But yeah, they just kind of talk about like, again, relationships, like funny things like that. So again, it's very light-hearted. It's more of a comedy one compared to like a mental health one like Fern Cotton's. But yeah, again, I really would recommend it. I don't listen to it like every week, but like if I'm looking for something to listen to, which I know will put me in a good mood, I'll listen to that. Next one is Shagged, Annoyed. Again, very popular one. I think it's like always like at the top of the charts, but it's by Chris Ramsey and Rosie Ramsey. Chris Ramsey is a comedian, and he does it with his wife, and they literally talk about everything. It's very general, but again, it's so funny, and like, as there's a lot of them to listen to, but they don't really follow like an order, so you can just listen to one, like a random one. It will make sense. That's like a nice thing about podcasts as well. They're usually on something different every week, so you don't have to follow them like in religious order. Like, I personally do, because I like being organised. But yeah, again, like Shagged, Annoyed is really funny. The next one is The S Word. This is run by 5 girls who all went to uni of Lincoln. Charlotte actually has a YouTube channel, so I'll link her down below. But yeah, it's basically her and her like 4 friends from uni. They're all like on different courses and stuff, just chatting about uni life, like dating life and things like that. And it literally feels like you're in the room with them talking. Like, it's really chilled out. I really like it. So yeah, I would really recommend that one. Next one is The Confidence Corner by Callie Thorpe. Callie is kind of, I guess, like your typical influencer. I don't like that word, but yeah. I followed her on Instagram for like ages. So she kind of interviews a lot of people who have their own businesses, and like, again, as the name suggests, it's like how they kind of have sort of acquired the confidence to do different things in their life. So who have I listened to? So Gina Martin was on there, who brought in the upskirting law. like so many different people, like girls who've made sort of businesses for like sustainable fashion and things like that. So I found like so many different like creators on there, and again it's just really inspiring, like hearing people's different stories of how they got into their like career and stuff. So yeah, I'd really recommend that one. The next one is the Receipts podcast. Again, a very popular one. So this 3 girls host this, like very sort of normal working class girls, I guess, from London. So again, they've all had very different like upbringings, but it's just really interesting hearing people like, so again, people write into them and they kind of like respond to people's problems. But yeah, as I said, it's really interesting. They all have quite different opinions, but they make it work. Their podcasts are probably the longest out of all of these. They're usually around like an hour to 2 hours long. So I do have to listen to them in like chunks, but as they are really interesting, I do listen to them all kind of in order. The next one is Nobody Panic. This is hosted by Stevie Martin, who is Gina Martin's sister. So it's her and her friend Tessa, and they just basically talk about sort of situations. Again, so the podcast is Nobody Panic, but every week is about something different. So probably at the moment a lot of the podcasts about like the pandemic or like being furloughed or whatever. But yeah, I've really enjoyed them. My friends actually recommended me listening to that, and again, these podcasts are quite short. They're in like half an hour. But yeah, as I said, it's really funny. Like again, they talk about like travelling alone and like sort of, I feel like any situation you're a bit worried about, they've probably got a podcast about it. So yeah. Is it too late to drop out? This is actually one of my friends' podcasts. They actually made for their uni project. I mentioned in like one of the first series, but yeah, you know. Yeah, so basically my friends from my first year flat, they're basically talking about life at my uni, sort of any issues you might have whilst being at uni. And again, it's really entertaining. Obviously I find it funny because I know a lot of the memories like firsthand, but again, they will offer a lot of good advice about going to university and like how to cope with different situations. So yeah. Next one is Castaway. And this is Laura Whitmore's podcast. She kind of, again, she interviews a lot of different people, but like she basically asks people what their favourite podcasts are. So again, this is a really good one if you don't know what podcasts you want to listen to. But yeah, she's interviewed so many different celebrities. So yeah, I've only listened to a few of them, to be fair, but like I do enjoy them when I do listen to them. And finally, the last podcast I really enjoy is the Wooden Spoon podcast. They make any more of them now, but they made them a lot like last year. So basically it's all the kind of your typical study YouTubers. So I think it's Jade Bowler, Jack Edwards, Ruby Granger and Eve Cornwell. They all kind of discuss things like issues regarding education and like what they struggle with, like perfectionism and like taking gap years and fear of failure. And again, I just found it really interesting listening to like people who I feel like are so good at education, like what they struggle with. So yeah, if you're a student, I really would recommend the Wooden Spoon, because again, it just offers a really like nice, they offer very different perspectives on things. And those are all my favourite podcasts. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what your favourite podcasts are, because I do like finding new things to listen to. And yeah, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.